because there's elements of those that will feed into the month end as well. So it makes sense to kind of actually just switch that order around.
Yeah, okay, fine.
So I'm going to share my screen. So I mean, to start with the purchase ledger, I suppose a bit like the shares ledger. You know, you'll have a single nominal account that will be representative of your liability, you know, to pay to the suppliers, and then that will be represented by all the suppliers detailed in the purchase ledger. So let me just.
It's interesting because I mentioned to Deborah, when I was brought into the credit union, one of the issues that people tell me is, oh, well, Sercle doesn't have a purchase ledger. And so when Deborah mentioned it, that we've got a purchase ledger, I thought, wow, that is incredible, because everyone told me it didn't have a purchase ledger and it didn't have a fixed asset register. So both good news for us.
Okay, excellent. Right, let me get this desktop shared. Just move that over a bit. Now I may just, yep. So can you see the desktop okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you've seen the menu, there's actually just this dedicated area here, sales purchase ledger. Hopefully that's on your menu. It could be that certain users have had that menu option hidden, because you know the menu can be tailored to individual users' needs so that they're not seeing the full Buna. You know, somebody just needs an inquiry or maintenance, that kind of thing. So it could be that that item was maybe hidden from people, thus they thought it doesn't exist. So I'm logged in with Teller Priority 1, and hopefully Steve, you'll be priority 1 as well, so you should see the full menu structure.
Yeah, so I've definitely got this.
Great.
I've got it on my screen. I can see it.
That's good. So there's a little bit of setup to do first. So we go to the credit union maintenance. This is really the kind of focal point for switching on various features in the system, but also sort of related to what I was saying about the nominal implications. So if I go to our nominal tab on this, so you can see here, so we need to feed in what's the purchase ledger control nominal. So obviously that'll be an item in the balance sheet in the liabilities section.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking, we have a purchase ledger discount nominal. You know, it used to be if you were paying an invoice, you know, some suppliers might say, if you pay within 7 days, take 5% off or something like that. Doesn't really happen so much now, but
no.
We've got that there. And then on the right hand side, the default purchases nominal code. Because as you post the invoice, you're going to decide on what is the relevant nominal control. I think that might be like the default to, say, a petty expenses account, but obviously when you post the invoice, you'll have noted on the invoice the relevant expenditure code.
Yeah.
So a little bit of setup first. And then we can really move on to the sales and purchase ledger. Yeah, so we always had this sort of purchase ledger on it, and then with the introduction of universal credit, that actually spawned the creation of a sales ledger, because people were able to charge landlords for collection of funds and things like that. So it's really just a kind of mirror image of one of each other.
Yeah. So
the crux of the thing is we'll create a record of our suppliers, and here's just a little maintenance program. And I've got some created already. Let me choose Abcool. So you just give it an account code, so it's, you know, nice and easy to reference it. It can just any alphanumeric code up to 8 characters, and then you can put in the name. And so you just here, I've just got their name and address, and a kind of key thing is their bank account details. If you're going to link that in with, you know, you're going to pay Abcool, and you want that to go into we have a sort of bank account payments holding area, the backs release section. So then if you make a payment to that, that will just add into that list of items waiting for you to upload into your own banking platform.
And I think that, sorry to jump in, I think that's where the product doesn't get used by us. So when I've gone through the notes that were supplied to us, because we're going through so many batch releases, you know, absolutely thousands, that box is kept clear because of the manual task of like selecting and deselecting everything. So my worry is to create an invoice on the supplier maintenance that wasn't potentially due for payment for 30 days. The girls would have to sit and unpick around, you know, kind of pick around what they wanted to pay and what they didn't want to pay.
Well, I could stop you there, Adele, because when we
Okay.
record the invoice, that's not going anywhere near the banking item. It's only
Right.
when, say, 30 days time, and you do the flip side of the invoice posting is the cash posting, you know, payments posting to the
Yeah.
invoice. That's the trigger. It'll go into the batch release, not before
Fabulous.
that.
Okay, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Also within the supplier maintenance, we quite a recent addition, just the option for document imaging. So I don't know if you use the virtual filing cabinet on member records.
File Director, is it? File Director? Or is that a different one?
I think that's a different product. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, an equivalent to this, I know if you said about Copperpot, Steve, I know they use a document imaging called MStore.
Right.
So this is our built-in document imaging facility. So it just means if you've wanted to keep a hard copy or digital copy, sorry, of the item, then you can just scan it into here, use the scan or import if you've scanned elsewhere.
Fabulous.
Leeds team, if you specifically, if you remember when we were in the session, Kyle mentioned something and I've asked him to clarify what he meant about CRM doc imaging piece. So I'm still waiting for him to come back, but I'll give him a push, you know, in a couple of days' time.
Right.
I think he will find this of interest, but we can join that loop at a later date. Okay.
Yep, fine.
Yep. So setting up your suppliers would be the next logical step in the process.
Yeah.
Good. So then we move on to purchase invoice posting. So you've received an invoice in, and you're going to record that. And I suppose the beauty of the purchase ledger, because it wasn't, I'm just going to say it wasn't always there from the outset, because it used to be maybe 10, 15 years ago that even with banks and credit unions, there was a sort of onus to pay an invoice almost immediately when you got it. So people were just really posting that directly to the nominal ledger. And then it's sort of things have morphed that, you know, like Adele said, you know, you can maybe take 30 days to pay an invoice. So rather than having to diarise that to then post it into the nominal, then that really spawned the need for a kind of a purchase ledger. So we're just going to select our account. So that's the account code that we talked about. You can also find it with the drop down of the name as well, but we start with the code, a bit like, you know, everything we do for members starts with the membership number.
Yeah.
What date did we receive the invoice? We'll just say that's today. What's the invoice number? ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you get the wherewithal to analyze a particular invoice over 3 splits. You know, maybe there was somebody you got some printing done, some stationery and some marketing, that type of thing that might be bundled on one invoice. And so if you wanted to analyze that in the P&L. So 6440 was our default purchases code. So that's why it's suggested. For ABCool on my coding plan, so the ABCool dues 6260, and some sort of narrative, you know, so maybe say fees for 2024. You can also sub-analyze it by cost centers. I don't know if you've used that on the nominal ledger at the moment.
We don't,
No. Just it's able to kind of subcategorize if you had pots of money that you wanted. You're still posting to the same nominal code, but sub-analyzing it just via that extra level of analysis. So I'll leave that blank. Now, I presume, like most credit unions, you're not VAT registered.
That's correct.
Yeah. So you'll just record these, you're just putting in the overall total in the invoice. I think we've got one credit union in London community that were VAT registered, and it just made sense at the time because they were sort of doing buying property, massive refurbishment, and so it meant they could claim back 20% obviously on all their purchases because there was no sales. But it doesn't really fit the bill for most credit unions. So I'll put VAT code 1, and so it'll be overall total. So if it was 1,000 plus 200 VAT, you're just going to put in 1,200 from the outset and not have anything on the VAT total.
Yeah.
If we've finished that, I'm just using the enter key like most of the programs in the Sercle platform. Enter on the numeric keypad on my keyboard navigates between the fields. So I've checked that, quite happy. So it's £1,200. Accept, and then you can just kind of carry on if you had a series of invoices. So the data entry, very simple. I'll maybe just jump now to the inquiry just so we can see that on the account. So example, so you get the summary first. So we've got 1,200 in the current month, and then just click show to see the detail behind that.
Is there a facility where you can put in the due date when you enter the invoice?
There's not that facility, Steve.
Right.
Okay. When we were setting up the supplier, there was a terms box. Does that?
Correct. It doesn't have any impact. It was more like a notation field.
Okay.
Right.
As opposed to.
Okay.
But maybe something I'll make a note of that actually, because if you feel that they'd be quite sensible for tell you in 30 days time or whatever.
Yeah, it'd be good if that kind of then pre-populated into an area to show you these are due, and if you wanted to select any other ones to include in the payment run. Yeah.
Let me just write that down. Again, in the inquiry, you can jump quickly just to the maintenance to see the details of that. Then, sort of keeping track of the invoices that are outstanding, we have what's called an age of debt report. Which order we want, name and account code. Click print. So just nice and easy to keep track.
Yeah, and it's the usual way. You can use the envelope and create it, export it into Excel and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
you know the exporting into Excel. At the moment, it's a very old version of Excel. It's .xls, where nowadays we're on Office 365, so it's .xlsx. And you can't do a lot in the old versions of Excel that you can do nowadays. So what we have to do is we have to export it, and then we have to open it and save it as a new version to do anything with it. Is there any plans to bring it closer to current?
Not with this build of the platform, because the component that we use, this Crystal Report component, is what it is. There's not one that supersedes that we can use, I'm afraid. But the XLS, as you say, the new Office will open the thing, but
but you have to save it.
Save as,
yeah.
Steve, just FYI, as part of the move to cloud, obviously that will be a thing of the past, I believe. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. That will, I believe, will be updated.
Not to my knowledge, Debs, on that, because that's a very specific component that we bought to plug into the application as the report writing.
Fine.
So if you're meaning just Sercle platform as is, but with the using Sercle Data Cloud backend, I don't see that changing.
Understand. Okay, I'll make a note of that, and this, we can take it offline.
Yeah,
But it's down to Crystal Reports, isn't it?
it is.
If they've not updated, then it'll not get updated.
Yeah. I mean, there could possibly be another alternative that we can plug in to that, but it just hasn't been explored.
Yeah, fine.
A bit like the members ledger, if you're doing any member postings, those have to be audited before that hits the nominal ledger. So it's exactly the same for the sales and purchase ledger. So an audit reports button at the moment, because nothing would have gone to our expense account until we clear the audit. So it's the kind of same mechanics as the member. So hopefully there's a kind of common comfort to that in the concept.
Yeah. Just while you're on audit, one issue I found for the first time when me and Adele did the August month end is somebody was in this set off an audit report or an audit and not finished it and hadn't logged out. So it meant that when we come to do the month end, it just wouldn't do it. Barry had to literally kick them out. Is there any way that we can sort of force them? They can't exit until the audit's finished, because literally they just let it run in and buggered off.
So they just let it in the clearing process. Do you think?
You clear the audits. They'd set it running, but just disappeared. We're still logged in.
Yeah, so their initials were still showing on that screen and on the user screen. Yeah.
Yeah, on the current users, and it's both said in audit.
I mean, if they cleared the audit, that should be fine.
I tried to clear the audit and it didn't work. But fortunately, Barry was still around, and he literally, because they'd logged into terminal server, which is a quicker way of getting into Sercle, he was able to kick them out of terminal server. So it effectively kicked them out of Sercle, and we did clear the audits, and it worked. But I just wonder, because we're coming up to year end, and the last thing I want is to delay, because you're due to come in, Sercle are due to come in at 4 o'clock on Friday to run the pre-year end reports that you do, so that we can then do the year end. And I've told everyone they've got to be out by 3:30. And the last thing I want is for someone to be stuck doing audit and we're stuck, and it's delaying you and then us. So I didn't know if there was an automated way of kicking them out.
There's not an automated way of kicking them out. I'm kind of a bit puzzled about on a couple of fronts that why it stopped or hindered the month end, and why, because you can clear somebody else's audit. If the default's on here to say restrict to entries posted by, that'd be like my own initials, your initials.
Yeah.
You could just take that off to clear the grandiose audit that's pending.
Well, we did try all that and it didn't seem to work. But what you've got to appreciate is we're on a very old version of the system. Our build is January 22. So I don't know if there's been any enhancements to that we've not got. The reason why we're on January 22, and Deborah may remember what Barry was mentioning, is that when they've had updates in the past, people have had specific things running on their individual systems, and when we've done an update, it's all disappeared. So Barry's loath to do a whole update for everybody until he's segmented it. He's doing the branches first, and then he'll tackle head office. So we're still in that process. So at the moment, my system that I'm looking at is January 2022.
I mean, the thing I've talked to Barry about, because it was key to update the branches, because there was a little bug. If it crashed, it was wrecking people's treasury floats. Right. So and that is something we'd built into the system and as a bug fix. Excuse me, sorry. So I was key for him to deploy that to the branches, which is done. The niggle that we've had is electronic signatures. That there was a bit of toing and froing on that. But I would say to you then, you know, I can't imagine you're doing loan documents and anything to do with e-signatures. So I think you and Adele could be on the latest build without any complications, as you know, has been proven with the branches using the latest build.
Right. Okay. Fine. All right.
So you could maybe speak to Barry on that just to get you updated.
Yeah.
Because
Unfortunately, he's on holiday this week. So that's
Is he?
helpful. Oh yeah, year end. Great.
It is. I got his out of office yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's on
Something that's
holiday.
I know, how very rude. Is that something that's an urgent requirement, Steve, or?
At the moment, I don't think it's a major issue for us. But obviously, it would be nice to be at least, you know, within a year of the current version, not 18 months old. Because
right,
obviously, any
sorry.
enhancements you've done in the last 18 months, we've not seen on our particular versions.
That's right. So we're at 7th of September at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. My
so
build's 20th of Jan last year.
If you did want to just update your own PC, if you're not running on like the terminal server, if you just go to the Help About Sercle platform, and then there's the link here to download the update.
Right.
And then
yeah, fine, okay.
You just get this little pop-up saying, you know, where you have to save the file. And it'll just download, it'll ask you for a password. I don't know if you want to take a note of that. It's 790415 AP in lowercase. Obviously, that'll be on the recording anyway.
Yeah, fine. Okay, thank you. Yeah, sorry to interrupt on that.
No, that's fine. So yeah, so we were just talking about the audit, the equivalent for that. That needs to be printed if you want a hard copy cleared. Yeah. So then, in terms of posting, maybe seem a bit strange that there's cash posting and cash posting Mark 2. I would just say ignore cash posting. That was when our first build, we built it one way, then over time we thought that we could really improve it, make it a bit slicker, but we left the legacy one there for the users who'd already got familiar with that.
Yeah, okay.
So in terms of paying the invoice, click into here. Again, the code return, we get to see the outstanding balance and the detail of invoices. Now, you can pay an invoice just direct, go boom, tick the box to pay in full and pay as many as you want, and then continue and save. You put in like a reference number. But what that means is it doesn't, if you just sort of paying it instantly, there's no visual display of when you actually paid the invoice. So what we advise is that don't do the ticking at this point. You just come in, hit to click continue. Just bear with. We're not, sorry, unallocated was 1200. You want the backs payment. So Adele, this is the bit I was saying to you, this is the trigger for it to go into the backs release.
Okay.
And then what that has done, it creates what we term a cash transaction. And that we think with that, we prefer that just using ourselves, because then there's the transactional record of when we actually paid the invoice.
Yeah.
You can then tidy up the ledger thereafter by sort of saying, well, yes, that payment was associated with that invoice or multiple invoices. If you leave them unmarked, then they'll just remain on the ledger ad infinitum. But if you have tagged them, then at the year end, they'll be purged from the purchase ledger account. So just think about, do you want to have that kind of legacy history building up over time, or are you quite happy? Well, we paid the invoice. If we did need to refer to it, we could refer to the year-end copy that we're going to do for you, Steve. But it just makes the ledger tidier moving forward. So it's your shout.
So at this point, you've got to know every supplier that you want to pay. So we're going to, from my point of view, I'm going to have to keep a record of everything that I
No,
need to
and also I
pay.
would say
Oh,
to you-
so I'll go through the age debt report. Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry. Yeah.
And then maybe you're, if,
Yeah.
if it's moved into month 1, then you
Yeah.
know you're at the 30 days
Ready to-
plus.
Yeah.
So I would say
Okay.
that was your catalyst.
Yeah.
And the fortunate thing is we haven't got hundreds of suppliers to pay. You know, we've probably got 3 or 4 dozen, if that.
Right. So now if I look at the audit report, so we've got 1 invoice, 1 cash. So let me just clear that so you can just see the nominal effects. Again, you can reprint any batch like the members. So it's batch 1089. Let's just see what that's done on the P&L, etc. So our invoice went to our expense code 6260, and that then credited our creditors control account 3260. We then credited the bank account, debited the credit control when we made the payment, and we've suffered a loss of 1,200 quid for that expense item. So just updating, in the normal way. Now, without complicating things, but I just kind of wanted to put it to you both about, when I paid that invoice, I posted the invoice, I put it straight to a P&L item, P&L code. But I was thinking there was nothing to stop you, because particularly say for Abcool, you might get an invoice now for the new year for fees, but you might want to put that into a prepayment account and then use our prepayments and accruals method to drip feed the 2420 over the year into the 6260 expense account. And I just wondered if do you make use of the prepayment and accrual concept at the moment?
No, we didn't know you had that either. That's all done manually.
Yep.
So are you passing these kind of journals manually in a sense?
Yep.
Yeah,
Month
yeah.
on
So
month.
I'll pay the invoice to our prepayment, and then we'll drip it down. Yeah. To the expense. Okay. Yeah.
So that's good. I'm glad we've touched on that then, because that's something again you can benefit from, and then sort of falls into our month end discussion.
Yeah, that would be definitely useful, because we're at the moment we're accruing and then having to reverse the accrual, all done manually, and then reissue the next month, etc., etc. So it's just a rolling feast every month. And like Adele said, on the prepayments, we're having to do a journal for the prepayment every month. If you forget to do one, oh crikey, I missed that one. Yeah.
And trying to pick up from somebody that I didn't have a great handover. It was just an Excel document. So to get back to the the balance in the prepayments proving a little bit difficult.
Well, hopefully get to the end of this year and then start afresh.
Yeah,
correct. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking as well.
That's the dream.
Yeah. So if it's possible, we would like another session after the year end on the how to use that prepayments one, because that would be very beneficial for us.
Noted, Steve.
Right. Thank you.
I mean, it's funny, there's a customer, Deb, Joel have spoken to him, Derminder at Castle and Crystal, and his happiest, every month he emails me to say, I love this system. See, he watches the prepayments getting posted, and it's just his happiest things. He just sends an email every month saying, I love the prepayments and accruals concept. Quite funny.
And what we could do now, Derminder is an excellent advocate and very experienced within the sector, so I'm happy to connect you to him. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that'd be
it might be worth doing, Debs. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not being rude, but you will get chapter and verse. He's he can talk a lot.
Yeah, there's a price to pay, isn't there?
There is a price to pay, but I think there'd be some positive sharing of best practice, obviously overlaid
absolutely
with these.
Yeah. Exactly, Debs. I mean, we'll sort of tell you, obviously, we'll have that other session, as you say, Steve, after the year end, look at it from a system perspective, but then kind of hearing it from the horse's mouth of the real life usage is obviously best, and a bit like what you've probably gleaned from number one as well.
Yeah.
Made a note of that. Good.
So in essence, that was pretty, it's pretty basic. We're creating suppliers, we're posting invoices, we're paying the invoices as and when, we're looking at the age of debt to see when we're to pay them, and we've got an inquiry program to look back on invoices that we've had and paid, and just ensure that if you post anything, you're clearing the audit, so it updates all the nominal ledger. Is that okay, do you think, for the purchase ledger?
Perfect, yeah.
Fab. So next topic was looking at the fixed assets. So again, on the system, we've got an area dedicated to that. So you'd find that for the configuration under nominal, then we have fixed assets. It splits into two because we've got the various categories that just laid down in the accounting practices of freehold, leasehold, office, and other. I think everybody just kind of keeps to that convention. So that should be on your system by default. So we've got the 4 category numbers, and then it says from and to. And what that means is that's just a range of numbers that you're going to assign to the fixed assets themselves. So if you had an office, you would create an asset number 2. If it's a PC you bought, you might start at 202 if you follow that logic. And other, I can't think what that would be that's not office equipment, but if it's something that you felt wasn't applicable in those 3 categories, then you just put them into start at 302 up to 999. But
so, sorry to interrupt, just looking at this, my guess is that someone in the past has used the fixed asset register, and then however it's got someone else has come in and not used it, and it's not been used since.
And what makes you think that, Steve? Is it just
it's just that I'm looking at this, and if what you're saying, the asset category maintenance, if that's the default, when I've opened mine, it's got freehold offices, all locations, computer equipment, all locations, with the first one's got 1 to 250, the second one's 251 to 500. I've then got furniture and fittings, 501 to 750, and then computer software, 751 to 999. So I think someone's tailored this. Absolutely. So I believe that in the past, somebody has used the fixed asset register, but over time, for whatever reason, it's not been used since. Right, so I think it's there. Yeah. I think it's there. So this is a post year end, and I think myself and Adele, look at getting all our fixed assets actually into Sercle.
And if those categories that have been created, they sound reasonable, that what you would want to use? Because I think ours is just a template, but that sounds more ideal the way you've configured it, or whoever's configured it.
Yeah. So I think, as I said, post year end, myself and Adele will have a look at this, and we'll try and get all the fixed assets onto the system. Because at the moment it's on an Excel spreadsheet, and we literally just run it on there and then post the various journals through. Yeah. If it's on Sercle, great. Save doing all that.
Oh, it'll be quite revolutionary once we get all the bits and pieces automated. It will. But hence we're here, aren't we? Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you.
So in this case, you get the default. What's the balance sheet depreciation code and the P&L depreciation code, because that's what we're going to assign to the items as well that fall into that category. So that allows the depreciation to be done automatically every month end. So we have our categories, and it'd be interesting, Steve, I was going to say to you, if you've got your system open, to go into the register. So this is where we're creating the individual assets. And I just wondered if you clicked print, what you would see there, because again, if you do have something, then you might need to delete that, or look at the figures and adjust accordingly to your Excel spreadsheet for start of the year, or you just delete it and you set it up afresh.
Yeah, I've just clicked on print, and it's not responding as it does because it's actually working on it, but it's thinking about it. So
that might indicate quite a few.
Yeah, well, it's just gone through. There's quite a lot on there, so there's already lots of fixed assets in there. So, but it looks like every single one of them is fully depreciated.
Right,
so this
okay.
may be why it's not. I mean, one of them says audit 2008. So this is how long ago it was used. So again, now we know it's there, we can start to utilize this. We can write off all these old assets and start putting in the new ones.
Yep. And even
Because
go behind the scenes, if you felt you just wanted a clean slate, rather than you calling up each one by one and then hitting the delete button, we can run a little script just to purge that en masse.
Yeah, fine, okay. Well, as I said, post year end, we'll definitely be back in touch about this, because we've got the information. It's on the system. Why not use it?
So in here, you were just putting the asset number. So based on that category that the computers started at 201 to 300. So I've just created an asset of 202, just recording the year of purchase. If you use your own sort of tagging, number tagging system, you can associate that as well. And then, if somebody said, I've got asset number 12389, then you can find the asset based on that, rather than having to remember the specific asset number that we've put into the system.
Yeah.
So then we have a description, the cost at start. If it's a new asset, there's obviously no depreciation, but on an item that we're working on, depreciation this year will start to build up.
Yeah.
And then post year end, the depreciation this year would be cleared out and added to the at start figure. And again, similarly with any additions. What percentage of a depreciation is? I've just said, 33%. Just one point to make on the depreciation. It has been asked of us, like, so say this is March, so we're 6 months into the year, and you buy this laptop, and people have said, well, I only want to depreciate it for 6 months, whereas we work on the full year always. So even when you buy the item, we're always depreciating the full year whenever you buy the item.
Right.
If you don't like that, it's kind of, auditors have said to us, it's swings and roundabouts. Okay, you maybe suffer a wee bit the year of purchase, but then you're compensating it the final year because we've depreciated it sooner. If you're struggling with that and don't like the concept of full year depreciation, then what you have to do is just tweak the percentage pro rata during that year and then reinstate it at the start of the new financial year.
Yeah, fine, okay. Yeah.
And so the method, straight line, reducing balance or none. Where is the asset? And again, our the depreciation codes. So yeah, nice and simple, simple maintenance program. We've looked at the print because you've just run that as well. So nice and straightforward. So that kind of leads quite nicely on to month end, because under the month end menu are the two things that we've just talked about. So there's the accrual reversal and the depreciation calculation. So I haven't set up any accruals, and we said we'd have another session on that. But if I just go into depreciation, excuse me, then it's just a case of, every month end, you're clicking the month that you're in, and what you're doing manually, Steve, you're saying in Adele, passing these journals, and the system's going to do for you. So if I just say we're in September, okay, that. So it says, well, that's 12 months depreciation, that's fine. So that was batch 1090. So that's just really passed all those journals for every fixed asset that we had. And you can just see there, so that's the 33% of that going to the expenditure item and our depreciation in the balance sheet. And obviously that's his effect on profit. So it's just nice and simple in terms of, you know, passing those journals because you've configured it in the asset. So if I call it up, yeah, we can just see the depreciation this year building up.
Yeah.
By virtue of having the fixed assets, and under the normal reports, we can print a fixed asset schedule. It might be handy throughout the year, or particularly at year end. And then that will just be, you know, analysed as you would expect.
Yeah, we can definitely we can definitely use more of this functionality
Mhm.
that we weren't aware of, because as Adele mentioned her handover, I had one very similar, and again, I was told, oh, you can't. They don't. Sercle doesn't have a fixed asset system. Sercle doesn't have a purchase ledger system, so everything has to be done in Excel. And to be fair, I just accepted that without challenge. Now it's obvious, and thankfully Deborah mentioned it when she came to see us, that yes, you do have a purchase ledger system, and there's a fixed asset system. And clearly someone in the past has used the fixed asset system. So, you know, we should be utilising this more so that it puts less onus on us doing everything manually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it points to things not being documented, whereas you know, there should be a procedures manual that.
Yeah. Well, to go on to the year end, the reason why is because I'm not sure if you ever spoke to Tracy, my predecessor.
No, I was thinking that your predecessor was Katie.
Katie was the fourth one. She was there for the 2021 at year end, but then there was 3 extra people between her and me doing the 22 year end. So you can imagine that none of the year end processes were passed down the line. So again, I came to it, nothing, no procedures, no idea, nothing saved anywhere. Yeah, you can imagine that was I'd only been in the job a month, and that was an absolute nightmare.
Baptism by fire springs to mind.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But look, you know, what we'll achieve at the end of this process is a much more controlled, automated life for you, but also from an auditory perspective, you know, everything's there, automated, logged, fully transparent. So yeah, we'll get you where you need to be, don't worry.
Yeah, because the other thing that we're concerned, or I'm concerned about, is we have a month-end process and we don't even know if that's what we should or shouldn't be running. Because again, it's just been passed down from one person to the next person to the next person, and no one's actually thought, well, is there anything that we're missing in there? Is there anything that we're doing that we shouldn't be doing? I mean, we're still running, well, we're asked to run bordereau reports. I mean, bordereau reports really went out with the arc, but that's still part of our month-end process because we've had insurance in the past.
Right. I take it as totally blank each month.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you just think, well, pointless doing that then.
Well, yeah, I do remember your crediting offering the PPI on the loans.
Yeah.
I would have thought, I mean, you can actually maybe do an exception report to see if anybody's got that insurance still on their loan. You know, I would have thought people by now we must have topped up or cleared their loan. Because I mean, how long has it been since you couldn't do PPI? It's got to be
6 or 7 years at least.
It's got to be, isn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be no one left because we don't do loans in that for that term. So there's got to be no one left with any insurance. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I think that could be struck off the menu. Yeah. I mean, in terms of month end, it is. Throat's a bit funny this morning. We try to make it as painless as possible, and almost not make it so regimented that you must do a month end. Obviously there's reports that you want to do because the board want to see things, so imagine you'll be doing a trial balance sheet, profit and loss account, maybe doing do you still insure your loans with C Mutual,
aka
CUNA Mutual? So you'll be running the the LPLS calculation, you know, so that's particularly one report that must be done at the month end. You can't do that retrospectively. A lot of the nominal reports, like, so say you went into, it was the 3rd of October, and you wanted to do the TB for the 30th of September, well, you can backdate that. A number of the programs have that sort of backdating capability. The quarterly return, you could do blah, blah, blah. But the LPLS is a one that must be done at the time. I suppose in the same vein, is it your responsibility to do the extract to the CRA, or does somebody else take care of that?
That used to be our responsibility, but Damien has now taken that on as he's effectively the credit analyst, and he inherited that from Adele's predecessor.
Right.
That was probably around April this year, where they took over the credit reference agency reporting. So that's not our responsibility anymore.
Good. So I mean, we do have a month-end update because we felt it was a bit, you know, we do need a little bit. You know, some figures on the members record, like how much did the member pay in the month and withdraw in the month. So by running the month-end update, we'll clear down those monthly totals. But if you're not using that, it's very insignificant. Its main purpose is a bit of transaction archiving. We've got 2 transaction stacks in the database, and so one builds up during the month, and then the month-end process sort of pushes them into the archive table, empties the current month table, and it just made processing a little bit quicker. But it's not essential, so you don't actually have to hit the button to continue. I can maybe detail for you exactly the things that it's doing, so you can say, well, oh well, we do use this part, so I think it'd be worth running.
Yeah, that was actually what I was going to ask. What should we be doing at month end, rather than what we are doing? What we should be doing at month end? What reports we should be running? For some reason, someone in the past has said, right, well, you must run an arrears listing. But then
I agree with that, yeah. But that's part of Damien's CRA stuff anyway, one would hope.
But it also creates the bad debt. Yeah. So we run the bad debt report. So, and we select all the accounts that we should be including and those that we don't include, and it calculates the bad debt, and then obviously it posts the bad debt as well.
What do you mean, the provision?
Sorry, the provision. Yeah, sorry, I should have said provision. So we do that, but the report or the handover notes I had, you had 2 doing exactly the same thing, and me and Adele last month said, well, we only need to do one. You only need to do the bad debt, because that's the calculation. You don't necessarily need to do the arrears one, which was, according to that, doing exactly the same thing. So we cut that out, but it's things that we do the new loans report, you know, all the new business, so we can select all that. But I'm just conscious that, as I mentioned before, about how over time things have been passed down from person to person, and things have been missed, such as the fixed assets has obviously been done in the past, and then over time it's just disappeared. Are the things that we should be doing every month in the month-end update, and then are the things that we should be doing purely as a year-end one that you don't need to do for the rest of the year?
Okay, can I just, Mike?
Yes,
can I just put in? So I'm just conscious of time now, Mike. Steve, we've got a session around loan reporting fields after this. Do you want to rearrange that? And if Mike's free, we continue for another half an hour.
I'm fine with that. Adele, is that okay with you?
No, I've got a meeting at 11, Deb, sorry.
Oh, right, okay, fine.
So we will, okay, so we'll reschedule a subsequent session. Thank you. Okay.
I'll just say very quickly, Steve, we don't, because there's so many reports on the system, we don't say it's a must, you know, and each credit union will have their own reports that they deem appropriate for the board or for accounting purposes, whatever. But what we did was, as a kind of aid for maybe people not so familiar with the system. In the month-end update, there's this button here, what we termed essential. And it says there, if you've not already done it, because you might have just chosen from the menu the various options for the things that you deem necessary. And then that was really the bits that I was kind of just talking on, a balance sheet, profit and loss, cash reports, kind of old school now, the LPLS, a trial balance. So that was kind of things we thought were essential to have at a month end. The delinquency, the calculation and the provisioning is a separate thing, so that's why it's not triggered in here. But in terms of reporting, this is our advice. There's a document here called SARA, but we'd need another session on that, because that's actually generating a whole bunch of key indicators, key figures in a consolidated report. But so that's what we would say was essential, but that's, that was just our take on things of when we designed the system.
Yeah, fine, okay.
I think it might be worth, that's a kind of question maybe to put to Copperpot again for kind of real life example. What do they deem as essential for the month end? I think they would say the same. Well, we're doing the bad debt because we need to have the provision updated and posted. That's key. Somebody doing the CRA output is key. The LPLS is key. And then anything else is just information that somebody hopefully deems appropriate or informative and has to have at the month end.
Yeah. So obviously we're coming up to the end of September, so we'll be doing, obviously it's year end as well. Do we do the month end and update the month end and then do the year end?
Yeah, so you do everything you would do for the month end. We step in to do the backup, and then you do the year end. So
do we have to do the month end before you do the backup, or does it not matter really?
It wouldn't really matter, I suppose. We could just do the backup and then that's it, done.
Fine, okay.
And just very quickly, I was going to say to you, obviously September's a quarter end. Do you use the system to produce the quarterly return, or has that never been mentioned to you as a facet of the system as well?
No, we do that. You mean the quarterly return to PRA? Yeah, that's all done manually, but it's an Excel spreadsheet, and literally we just populate it with the information. It's not an onerous task.
Do you not find that? I just thought for your size with all those, collating that information, well, that's good, kind of good to know.
Yeah, obviously the fun thing is the PRA, when you actually put it onto their portal, you have to have it to balance. And when you're looking at the investments and you've got to do the 92% calculation, you've got to make sure they're fully correctly rounded. Otherwise, it throws it out at the bottom and it says rejected. Oh, bloody hell.
Even for a penny.
Yeah. So we've done all that. But it's nice to know that, yes, we do the month end, then we do the year end. That's fine. And I've done now probably 9 or 10 month ends on my own, so I literally know what I'm doing now.
Right.
The year end, obviously you only do it once a year, so that's fine. What the good thing about speaking to Copperpot last year, just quickly, is that we run the accrued interest report. It never ever been done at Leeds City Credit Union.
Right.
Honestly, bloody hell.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that was $100 grand boost to the P&L in one go.
We're not talking a 1,000 member credit union here, Steve.
No, exactly. And it had never been done before. No one ever thought of that. I questioned it, that the way Sercle interprets it is when a customer pays the monthly payment or weekly payment, the interest is then calculated. And I said, okay, what happens if the guy pays on the 2nd of September? Oh, well, the next interest won't be till the 2nd of October. I said, yeah, but you've gone 28 days there. What about the interest on that? And literally no one could answer the question. And then when I spoke to Lisa at Copperpot, she said, oh, yeah, run a accrued interest report. Oh, right, fine. So we do that every month now. Right. I'm conscious of time. So, Michael, thank you very much. That was really appreciated.
Oh, thank you.
We'll set. I'll liaise with Michael, Steve, and we'll get a session number 2 for you and Adele, just to do a bit of a mop up. Yeah.
Yeah, fine, great.
Great. Okay. Shall we reconvene in a couple of minutes? I just need to get a hot drink for my throat, and then I'll log off. Yeah.
Fine. Okay. We'll
Thank
see you in a
you
bit.
then.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay,
Cheers.
bye. Bye.
Thanks so much. Really good. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.